Hi, I'm Ella, back for BoardGameGeek, and we're back with Pat Marino from the OP. And this time, we moved on from Batman to SpongeBob, and now we have Disney, which is a great segue in a way. Different feelings from different games. Hi,
Yeah,
Pat.
it's always great. How's it going? Um, I'm excited about this one. We get to work with so many like just over the top IPs and brands and dive into these
Yes.
worlds. Um, and Disney's always an interesting one because they have so much content, right? And usually
Mm,
Disney things will focus on one particular storyline. So we've done Toy
mm.
Story and things like that, where you focus on Snow White and the game we did for that. But this time with Disney Munchkin, we got to explore all things Disney, which was a really
Oh,
exciting treat for us. Yeah, so this one is not just one film or just the sort of the core characters of Mickey and Goofy and that crew. This is pretty much everything Disney animated that we could fit in this box we put in there.
right. And I can't imagine anybody who's not familiar with Munchkin, but if there are, what is technically Munchkin? What is it? And how are you moving from like all the older expansions and the older themes to Disney?
Yeah, so Munchkin at its core is a game where you are playing in a world and kicking down a door where you might encounter some kind of villain, or you might
Yes.
find a curse, or you might find some things that can help you on your quest. And the goal here is to defeat monsters so that you can level up from level 1 all the way up to level 10 to win the game.
Mhm.
Defeating monsters will gain you levels. Some of the treasure cards will gain you levels, and defeating villains will also gain you treasure cards. But of course, along the way, the other heroes or the other players will do everything they can to block you or slow down your progress, or they may negotiate to help you on your quest, but for a cut of the treasure or some kind of advantage to them. So there's always a lot of player negotiation in the game, and that
Mm,
really adds to the fun and the flavor of it. Is you know
the
a little
back
bit of
and forth.
backstabbing here and there, yeah,
Yes.
and the back and forth
Yeah.
between players. Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. And how do we introduce those themes and mechanics in Disney? So how does it work?
Yeah, so in Disney there's always some nuance to how you do a licensed version of a game, and we've been doing
Mm,
quite a few licensed Munchkins over the years with
mhm,
Steve Jackson Games as a partner. And in this one, in order to create this universe where we can use all of the Disney characters, which is not something you can often do, the
mhm,
players are playing as Disney super fans. And there are six
yeah.
character cards at the top that define what you love most about Disney. So if you love the
Mm,
villains, you would play as the villain fan. And there's the different, if you're the dreamer or if you love the adventure, you're going to latch
mm,
onto those cards. And those cards help you track your level as you go through the game and your abilities that you can do because of your character type. But then the things you encounter in the game are going to be all kinds of Disney items and characters and things like that. So you're going to encounter the major Disney villains. You're going to run into and find some items that you'll remember,
right.
like Maui's hook from Moana and things like that you can use as gear
That's
as
awesome.
you battle. Um, and you can
Yeah.
see, it's a full mix of allies too. So a lot of the heroes and sidekicks can become your allies and help you out on your journey. Um,
Right.
and add to your gear. So it's also fun to like picture, a Disney super fan and you've got on like Triton's crown and you're carrying Maui's
Right.
hook, but then you've got Robin Hood's bow and all this different gear that you'd be lugging around in it. And just like every other Munchkin game, though, players are going to start with 4 cards from each deck. So four
Mhm.
treasures, four door cards, and then you're going to be able
Yes.
to equip any gear that you would normally equip. So there's one-hand items, and there's two-handed items, and there's headgear and footgear and armor
Mhm.
that you can equip. And then you can have one ally, unless you have an ability that says otherwise. So basically, you're
Mm,
building out your gear as you go.
mhm.
And so you can see we've got the 2 Mickey gloves. That means that's a two-handed item. So you can carry that, but if you have the Blue Fairies wand, you
Have
can't
enough.
carry any other handed items, right? Exactly. Um,
Makes sense. Yeah. which is the strength of Munchkin. I think all the things that you can mix and match, that the crazier it is, the better it is. Like, doesn't make sense, but it makes sense at the same time. It'll be so funny. Okay. So what do we do
Yeah,
next after we
exactly.
have these hands? Yeah.
So once you have your starting hand of cards and we have some dealt out there, and you've equipped your gear and decided which items you want to use and which ally you're going to have, and if you have a particular role card that you're using that gives you a bonus, every turn plays out fairly similarly. So we can see there's some different things there. There's some go up a level cards, just like in all Munchkin games with the medallions. So that's a good head start there. And then some equipment. So what you would do is you kick down the door. And I love that we have this dungeon looking door, which is very like Munchkin, but it's got the Mickey ears in it, that's on the game box, as well as the door cards, to kind of blend those two worlds together. So this was a custom thing that was done for this game. So when you kick down the door, you just flip over the top door card and show it to everybody, and that's what you're encountering for your turn. So we have a villain card there, and it's going to tell you the level of the villain.
Can
which
I please
can't
look
quite
at that
see
closer,
there
please?
yet. There we go.
Thank you. Yes, so it's
We've got
Flotsam.
Flotsam at the top. Yep, and he's a level 2. And let's see, what does it say there? Discard your classes. So if you had a class card activated, you'd have to discard it. And then if,
and it makes sense. They're going to join Jetsam. Flotsam is going to join Jetsam.
Right. So if you have Jetsam, he can be played in with Flotsam, and they make a duo, and their levels would add together. So another player could potentially add that to the fight. But basically, you're up against a level 2 here. So you would look at your starting level would be a level 1, and then any bonuses you have from your equipment that would increase it. And as long as you have a higher level than the monster, you're going to defeat it and gain the treasures on the bottom. So there's a little treasure chest that shows you get 1 treasure for defeating Flotsam. And the Triton's Trident there is an additional, let's see, what is the bonus on the top there? It's in the dark red. It's hard to see on my screen.
Looks like on the top of the card.
+3.
Yeah, so your starting level of a 1 with a +3 bonus is going to give you enough to defeat Flotsam. But if it wasn't, and this is a unique thing in the Disney version, you can see it says Disney Magic there. And it says Disney Magic, an additional +1 until the end of the turn. So if you needed that extra +1 in order to win this fight, the way you activate Disney Magic is by either quoting a Disney line that hasn't been quoted yet this game, or singing part of a Disney song. And so we've had some interesting moments in the office, right, where we're testing this, and we have some very talented people on our staff who can sing quite well, and had no reservations about belting out Disney lyrics loud enough for most of the office to hear. So it really adds a different element to this game of, how bad do you want it? Especially somebody like me, I'm more introverted. So it's like, do I really need that bonus? Am I going to do the acting or the singing in order to get it? But it brings the Disney element to life in this game.
Right. That makes sense. You should have a go-to. Do you have a go-to song that you go to? I'm always Little Mermaid. What's yours?
We play with the rule that you can't repeat a song that's been done. So I usually work my way through the soundtrack. And then once I've done Friend Like Me and Prince Ali and stuff, I start to run out of songs, and I'm like, oh, okay, I got to switch over to Moana or something. And I'm a big fan of there's a ridiculous YouTube video somebody did where they sing one of the songs from Moana entirely in Toad's voice from Nintendo, which is like really kind of over the top annoying. So I like to use that one whenever I can to just jar people a little bit, but it's all part of the kind of the goofiness and humor that is Munchkin, right?
Right. Fits in really well. I have to Google that now because of you.
Yeah.
So, and okay, and so we have that. So we know that we're additional level 4, and I think we had for the Trident we had the 3, and then I'm gonna sing. Look at this stuff, treasures untold. So I get the Disney magic. What happens?
So that would give you an extra +1, and that can be important because you're winning the fight, but there's nothing to say that another player doesn't have the Jetsam card that they could add to this fight, or there's still Wandering Monster cards, which are standard in Munchkin sets, that would allow another player to add a monster from their hand to the fight and increase the level. But if nobody does that, if everybody says they're not going to interfere with your fight, then you would win this battle because you have the higher level. And the card shows that you're going to gain a treasure. So the monster card would be discarded, and then you get to take the top treasure card off the deck. And then because you won a fight against a monster, you also gain a level. So you would then be level 2 moving forward in the game. So that's one step closer to reaching the victory level of level 10. And players will take turns like this going around the table until one player has reached level 10. And usually what happens is when somebody gets to level 9, everybody else does everything in their power to get in their way and slow them down and add more monsters to their fight and play curse cards against them and all those kinds of fun things, which is, of course, a classic part of the Munchkin experience that we have here too. There's some really fun curse cards like the poison apple, of course, and things like that that sort of give that feel of Munchkin, but also of Disney.
Yeah. I guess the silliness. Look at that, lose an item. So there are some of the curse cards that we can get, right?
Yeah.
Who do you play with?
Play this.
Who do you go for? Oh, sorry? Change motivation. Sorry, there's a bit of a delay. Apologies if I'm talking over you.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, so you can see the cursed apple or the poison apple is kind of the icon for the curses, and they cause you to lose levels, have to change. You've got classes and motivations as the two sort of character enhancers in this game. So you can lose those, you can lose items, and you can encounter these two different ways. So if you have one in your hand, you can play it as an attack against another player, which is always fun to do at the right moment. There's some folks in our office. It's as with any Munchkin game when we're testing, it's like I like to invite certain people to the playtest because I know they'll get real fired up when people attack them or things go badly, and it always just adds to the experience a little bit. The other way you encounter these, of course, is if you kick down a door and the card is a curse, you're forced to deal with it yourself and suffer the consequences. So there's always that little bit of a looming threat when you flip that card. Is it going to be a curse? Is it going to be the level 20 villain? Or is it going to be something you can use to your advantage?
Right. I actually haven't played Munchkin in a long time. I play with my kid and we play the zombie one, which is favorite. So I can imagine he'll be excited about Disney also, especially with the singing and the coding, which is the best thing about Disney. Cool. Now, aside from, sorry.
With the licensed ones, that it either is like an immediate pickup from the Munchkin fan base, right? That just loves all things Munchkin. Or in some cases, it really will introduce a new group that maybe they love all things Disney and they've never played Munchkin before, or they haven't played Munchkin in a while, but Disney is just the right fit for them to jump back into the game. So that's one of the fun things about doing it, is it gives people a chance to rediscover a game that's been around for a while, but in a new way and with an IP and a story that they really love.
Right. Is there anything else coming from this line? I imagine that this is infinitely expandable also. And what my son does is that he likes mixing and matching stuff. Is it possible to do all these things if there are expansions coming in the future?
Yeah, so all of the Munchkins, are able to be shuffled together. So it creates a really interesting experience. And I've played this way in the past where it's sort of like, okay, we've got 9 different sets from different IPs on the table. And you might be drawing a card from Rick and Morty or from Disney or from, Adventure Time or whatever the case may be. And so there's fun ways to mix and match there. But working so closely with the Steve Jackson team, they have this like next level knowledge of every card that's ever been done. And so we can always consult with them, and we do a lot of back and forth in the testing to figure out, like, let's make sure every card in every set we make is compatible with every other set that's already been made, in terms of they use the same language patterns, they use the same effects, that a card in this set isn't going to break a card in another set or create an issue with the rules. And so right now we have the Disney set that is coming in October. Will be available pretty widely in hobby game stores. On our website, theop.games, you should be able to find it most places you buy games. And then the next set we're doing that we've announced is a different IP, and that's Critical Role. So for fans of Critical Role
Oh,
and the streaming of their role playing in the D&D universe, we have a set coming that is all custom art, featuring characters from the second season of Critical Role, the Mighty Nine. And so we worked with some super fans of Critical Role who are very talented artists, and we're doing exceptional fan art, and had them create all of the character art and the monster art and everything for Critical Role Munchkin, which has its own spins and unique rules that we'll be sharing more about as we move forward with those announcements leading up into its release next year. But that also could be easily integrated with the Disney set. So you know, if you have that cross fandom, you can say, okay, we'll get Disney and we'll get Critical Role, and then we'll go grab the X-Men set and we'll put them all together and see what happens.
We got crazy combinations from that.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's part of the fun
And
is to see the humor there and how things link.
Right. And I imagine they'll be in the same price point.
Yeah. So if I'm remembering correctly, all of our Munchkin sets of the non-deluxe, which is this version here, the bigger deluxe set has the game board and things like that we've done for Harry Potter and a few others, should retail MSRP of $24.99. So approachable price point, good way to get a new Disney game to your table, and play it with 2 to 5 other friends, because it's a 3 to 6 player game. So a good player count there as well, pretty expandable.
Awesome. So thank you so much for talking about Munchkin Disney, Plankton Rising, and Batman Rising, and a host of ton of other games that are coming from the OP, hopefully, because these are such great IPs. So thank you, Pat.
Yeah, of course. Always a pleasure. We've got tons of great things in the works. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and check out our website as well, theop.games, for all kinds of announcements about things that are coming even later this year. And then, of course, we have a whole line of really exciting stuff coming next year in 2021.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.